There are children in this region who are physically and sexually assaulted, often very close to their home. This is not a small issue. As a culture, we really have to look at this closer and why it's happening. So my guest today is Cindy Paskey, who's the executive director of the Niagara Child Advocacy Center.
Yes.
Cindy, welcome. Tell us, why does this center exist?
The center exists so that kids who have been subject to abuse, whether it's sexual abuse, physical abuse, perhaps they've witnessed violence, perhaps they've been lured over the internet. When an investigation into those circumstances takes place, that investigation happens at Child Advocacy Center Niagara.
And that's in St. Catharines?
It's located in St. Catharines. However, we serve the entire Niagara region. So we get children from Fort Erie, Grimsby, Beamsville, Pelham, Niagara Falls, doesn't matter where in the region. All child abuse investigations happen at our center.
Can you give us an idea of the number of cases that you get a week, a month?
Sure. You might be surprised to know that we actually get at least one case a day. That's what Niagara Regional Police are reporting right now.
One a day?
One a day, yes.
Most of those cases would not make the media.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely not. The center is a child-friendly place. It's a safe, private place for the investigation to unfold. And the advantage of the center is that children don't need to go to the police station. They don't need to talk to different people over different periods of time. It's a very timely, effective response to allegations of abuse. And you're right, John, most of those would never make the media.
Not that long ago, that child, the victim of that sexual abuse or physical abuse, would have to go downtown to the police station, be interviewed probably by detectives.
Yes.
In a sort of a police situation. How is your center different from that?
We are hugely different from that. It's a dedicated building. It's nestled in a residential neighborhood, very child-friendly. There are a couple of nice waiting rooms. One of them is full of books and toys, which of course the kids love right away. And what's unique is that the teams work together. So the police work with child protection workers from Family and Children's Services. The police are always in plain clothes. They're specially trained to do the kind of interviewing that they do. We have a family advocate who lends support to the children and to the non-offending caregivers or family. And we also ensure that there's appropriate referrals to therapeutic professionals. We provide immediate counseling afterwards, not only to children, but also to their families. It's a safe place. The person accused of abuse never ever comes to the center. So it's safe, it's private, it's comfortable. We have snacks. We make sure people are comfortable while they're there, understanding that it's a very difficult circumstance. The people who are involved in the investigation truly do care about the kids. They believe kids, and they get to the bottom of the situation.
And the videotape interview at your facility is the one used in court?
Yes, it's used in court, and it's used in the next steps of the process. So if charges are going to be laid, that would be viewed by the Crown Attorney. And we are finding that it's providing good evidence, and it's increasing the number of criminal charges that are laid and the number of convictions that are achieved.
And Cindy, any breakdown in terms of gender, boys, girls? What are you finding of victims?
And again, this might surprise you. It's almost an even split between males and females who come to the center. Typically up to age 16, sometimes a little bit older than that, depending on circumstances. And oftentimes it's children from ages 11 to 15, although we do see young children as well.
The 11 to 15, is there a connection to puberty, do you think?
I don't know if it's a connection to puberty. Definitely they would have disclosed in some way, so they might have alerted an adult, and an adult who suspects that a child is in danger or might be harmed should report that through to the Family and Children's Services or to the police. So perhaps an adult picked up on something, or perhaps a young person has told a friend and the friend cares and wants that child to get help. Anybody who's being abused, one, it's never their fault, and two, they only want it to stop.
And certainly in the Canadian context, we've had lots of formal organizations protect people who abuse children. And so we're now starting to break those walls down. Do you get a sense that we're changing how we treat children generally?
Definitely in Niagara, I can say that we are changing how we treat children, in that people believe them. People believe them, they listen, they do a thorough investigation, and they get the facts. So that if a child discloses something to a trusted adult, that adult will carry that message forward rather than saying, don't say anything, let's not rock the boat. So yes, we are changing in Niagara how we respond to allegations of abuse. And John, anytime you read something in the newspaper where there's mention made about sexual abuse charges, perhaps internet luring, you've read about the Facebook situations, you've read even about a teacher who's been charged with sexual abuse, children who are connected to those situations, every single one of those children would have been interviewed at Child Advocacy Centre Niagara.
In some ways, it's a much more comprehensive and detailed approach to documenting these cases. In the past, children would not have been believed by, old world police or social workers, but now they are believed.
Yes, and our partners, Niagara Regional Police, Family and Children's Services, both have dedicated teams, child abuse units, where the people who do the investigations are specifically trained to do forensic interviewing, to interview children in particular. When the police are involved, they are always in plain clothes. They drive unmarked cars. So if you were to drive by our location, you wouldn't even have any idea about the kind of activity that happens inside the doors.
You talk about one case a day. How alarming that is, I still think there are many out there that we don't know about.
We're certain there are many that we don't know about. So we are encouraging young people, if they're in a situation where they are being abused, to tell somebody you trust, and let that person get the help that you need.
When the child comes to your facility, does a parent come?
Children are always accompanied by somebody in a supporting role. So it could be a parent, it could be an aunt, an uncle, grandparents. Sometimes it's the school health nurse, sometimes it's a child and youth worker. We get children who are living at the domestic violence safe houses. So they're always accompanied by an adult who cares about them, never ever by the person who is accused of doing the abuse.
Can you give us the phone number or email address?
Sure. The phone number for the center is 905-937-5435. If somebody were to phone us, we would put them through to Family and Children's Services or the Niagara Regional Police. We have a website. It's CACNiagara.org. There's lots of good information on the website.
And certainly if people wanted to help either physically or financially, they could contact.
Absolutely. We are truly a community-driven initiative. We have no sustaining government funding. We do have some grant funding, but no sustaining government funding. So 80% of our operating budget is fundraised from the community, and we rely very heavily on volunteers.
So let's close this with the fundamentals of what an adult should do if they suspect a child is being harmed. What should they do?
If an adult suspects a child is being harmed, do not interview the child yourself. Make the referral directly to Family and Children's Services. They have the trained professionals. They have a screening department, and they have the trained professionals who will do that interview process without further traumatizing the child. So an adult interviewing a child ahead of time and trying to resolve things on their own, don't do it. Turn it over to the professionals.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much for coming. It's an important message.
Yeah, well, thank you, John. I really appreciate
Pleasure.
being here.
Take care.